Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Today, we're sitting down with Joel Blanton. He's a multiple world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has some amazing kettlebell sessions that I'm sure we'll get into and we'll talk about. And he's also a black belt under our good friend, James Klingerman, which we've had on the show before. And also something that I really want to point out for everybody out there is Joel is an inspiration to a lot of people because of his mental strongness, his mental mind state. He's overcome a lot of adversity at a younger age, and he's turned that adversity into a great thing in his life. And he's really projected that onto people, and people, learn from this and whatnot. So Joel, thanks for being with us, man. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And I have to ask you this. I asked a couple things. This is gonna be a funny question, but I'll get to the other question first. The blue container, man, that you brought home from work and you put concrete in it or whatever. Was there an inspiration behind this? I know some people out there don't know this, but Joel has this. Was it a 5-gallon? It's like a 5-gallon metal bucket.
I don't know how many gallons. I found it at work. I was looking actually for something else, and I found it, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! I can put sand in it or something heavy in it." So I ended up with sand.
Nice. I watch you doing some training sessions out in the driveway, picking that thing up and shifting it from one shoulder to the other. And I'm like, this reminds me of Pete Shock and stuff that he tells me about at the gym when he's always doing like some crazy stuff. I was like,
yeah, man,
Joel's always doing some wild.
Yeah, we need to get Pete and Joel together for a workout. See what kind of craziness comes out of it.
I'm sure it would be amazing.
It would be. Yeah. I've gotten in the wintertime, Pete sent me a video. I think it was when we were still quarantined last year, and he was in his backyard, Carhartt's on, throwing tree stumps like over his head.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, running down, picking it up and throwing it back again.
It's good for explosive strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what Pete's told me before, because he's talked about like a heavy bag. Like taking a heavy bag and just kind of like making it awkward, but picking it up and shifting it around because of that explosiveness. And especially in jiu-jitsu, because there are certain points, as you know, Joel, like you want to have that explosive ability to get up, or, versus just like a Turkish get up is something that you're just strictly working, but with a bag or something odd like that. So that's very cool, man. What got you into jiu-jitsu?
I originally bumped into a guy that had fought on one of the local shows, and of course this was probably like 2000, and of course he wore his belt into the bar and where I'm working at and everything. And I talked to him about it. I got a phone number, and then I called him, and it was like mid-November, a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. I showed up, and it's funny. It wasn't even a conscious decision. Like, I'm making the decision to do this. It was just something that after that first night, it was just, I went back. That's just what I did from then on out. I was like, this is amazing.
Nice.
I just went back. It wasn't even a discussion about it. It was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Like, I believe that like things happen for a reason. And when you fall into those type of things, you can take that situation and turn it into, a great situation. Did you want to compete like right out of the gate, or was it just like a progression? Like you just started training and you're like, you know what, I'm going to compete.
I knew I wanted to fight. I was actually, when I first saw MMA, I was actually doing pro wrestling out of Indianapolis.
Nice.
And I was powerlifting. I was like 205 pounds. If you don't know, I'm 5'5". So yeah, I was really big at the time. And I got to be good friends with the promoter's son. And he was like, hey man, we're not doing an event next week. These guys were renting a ring out. These guys do these crazy fights, man. You got to come check it out. So I got in for free. We set everything up, and then the fights happened. And I was like, oh, people really do this? This is amazing. I talked to a guy that night that I'm actually still friends with today. Even before I ever got into it, I just happened to then later on, I bumped into the guy at work when I was working at the bar, and showed up later, and it'll be 20 years in November. Just took off and I knew I wanted to fight. Wasn't any particular reason. It seemed like it would be a good challenge. So that's why I wanted
Sure.
to do it initially.
And it is. It's a good challenge too.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, like anyone that ever wants to get into it, or I'm fairly new to jujitsu, and Chad's my coach and whatnot. But like I tell people all the time is, you know, it's either for you or it's not, but it will challenge you both mentally, obviously physically, and you have to get yourself in the right mind state, you know, and push yourself forward to be there to show up alone every single day. So that's pretty cool. That seems to be, you know, what a lot of people, you know, they see that, like what you're saying, like you get into it and you're kind of like, wow, people do this. And then you fall in love with it, and then you just keep doing it. And so that's pretty cool, man.
It was a really fun time, because at the time Ultimate Fighter had just been like 2 or 3 seasons in.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
It was now really starting to gain a little bit, and promotions here and there all over the US were willing to fly guys out. You know, I've been all over the country, and it was such a fantastic time. I don't know how much they're doing that now, because I've been out of the scene for a decade. I haven't,
sure,
you know, but it just seemed like, you know, early to mid 2000s, even to like 7 or 8, there's a lot of promotions that were just blowing through money and just flying people from all parts of the country and putting on phenomenal cards. It was a really good time to be involved. It was a lot more pure. The rules were a little bit more relaxed, and it was a bit more dangerous, but that was the fun of it all.
Sure. Versus like what it's now. And that, like, even with jujitsu, you've seen like a progression. I call it old school jujitsu versus, I don't want to call it new school, but just maybe the evolving of it or whatnot. You know, like before it was, would you say a little more, it's probably terrible to say it like this, but like rougher. And Chad, you and I have talked about this before. Like, you know, there's stuff that they took away, and now they're bringing certain things back. And, you know, like what the, I'm going to screw this up. Heel hooking is now becoming more prevalent in tournaments and stuff like that, versus it was good in the beginning. You know, knee bars and all that stuff across any levels. James Clearman talked about this too. He's like, man, you were allowed to do anything. He goes, and then they took it away. You know,
and then, you know, it's funny is you created, by the IBJJF not having that for years, created a whole subset of other competitions that are doing sub only. You know, like guys like Gordon Ryan, who's the best in the world probably right now, without a doubt, who's thriving through no-gi competition only.
Sure.
So it created a unique subset, and that ultimately, man, I've been doing both recently again. I got away from no-gi for a while, because I really believe the gi is hard. They're hard in their own way, each uniquely. But I love training in the gi.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you like it better?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's getting old and no gi requires a lot of gas.
Well, I don't think it's just not just gas, but it's just easier on your body training in the gi. I think.
Man, yeah, definitely.
You know, it's slower paced, all that good stuff. But, you know, I think it's a necessary evil to do new no gi. But
I'm gonna go with Joel on the gas thing.
It is, yeah, it's faster paced.
Yeah, it's definitely faster paced. You know, I've been helping Emilio out with his fight camp, so I'm doing a lot of rounds with him after class. So, and then switching from gi to no gi in the same night. I think it's helped out a lot, but at the same time, man, you know, trying to keep up with the 24-year-old that has a great gas tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fun.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it for the workout part, but I'm always like, at the gym, if I have a younger guy, and I know they're younger, obviously, you know, everyone there at the gym, and they're like, hey man, you want to get a rolling? And I'm like, oy. I'm like, I got one more left, because I'm in my 40s. Not that that matters. I'm in pretty good shape, but still, I'm like, I don't have that gas tank like I did 20 years ago. And I didn't even do this stuff, but I can still go forever, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny is I listened to, one thing that, like you talked about the mental part of it. I listened to David Goggins' ebook.
Oh yes.
Can't Hurt Me. Man, it's super powerful. like, man, if that dude can do that, there's no reason that I shouldn't, even if I'm tired, I shouldn't suffer in training, because eventually the round's going to be over.
Exactly.
So it's okay.
Yep.
I'm not going to be I'm not out in the cold Pacific and on the beach getting beat down by the instructors. I got 3 minutes left on the clock, and
Sure.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
like
but,
when he's on the beach.
that helped out.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Joel. Sorry.
And that helped out. No, you're all right. It just helped out mentally training. It's really not as bad
Sure.
as it's going to be in my own head, because sometimes you're your own worst enemy.
You are.
But at the same time, the training, you got guys that are coming. I always talk about. I'm sure you guys see me post about Sunday open mat down here.
Yep.
I don't think there's that room is hard. You just have to eat your Wheaties. As older gentlemen, we understand that expression. Eat your Wheaties, leave your ego at the door, because everybody's feelings gets hurt if you bring them in. Nobody's been the toughest in a room. Everybody gets theirs, and it's glorious like that.
Sure.
So, yeah, man, it's been awesome.
Like, and you still you approach your workouts like that still too. With that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Every set is like compared to rolling training. Every set is a round.
Sure.
So I have to stay consistently strong through each round. That way I can get to the next round. If I have a tournament coming up, I treat each set in my exercise as a match in the tournament. That way I make it to the gold medal rounds mentally before I ever show up at the tournament. I've already won.
Right. And that's,
I'm
go ahead, Chad.
I would just say, Joe, I'm guessing just like jiu-jitsu, your strength and conditioning and workout has changed over the years, where you were a power lifter before, you're more into kettlebells and more explosive stuff now, right?
Definitely. Yeah. There's no way I could do the weights that I was doing before. I had almost now.
Yeah.
But I don't, that's the thing, like with powerlifting, as fun as that was, I don't need to be strong one time, out on the mat. I need to be strong over a consistent amount of time and get me through the match. It's funny to hear people, man, you're strong. I was like, yeah, but my technique is great too, sucker. Not only do I know how to hold you down, I can hold you down better because I am strong. It's just increasing the mechanics on the lever.
Sure.
Like complaining because somebody's lanky or bendy, which I get all the time. It's like, man, how did that foot get there? I had him folded up in half, and all of a sudden there's a foot in between us, and now he's creating space, and I have a whole new problem on my hand. So everybody has their advantages. I like picking stuff up and putting stuff down. It's fun.
That's Chad. When you're rolling with Chad, there's always a foot that shows up somewhere, and you're like, "What the?"
I felt that before. We don't do heavy rounds. I really enjoyed the training that I've gotten with Chad. There's probably, what would you say, probably 50%?
Yeah.
But it's a super technical. I learned so much because he has such a different style. So it's always really great to be able to have that different look.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, smash. So.
Yeah, but like you said, your technique's great. I was just watching a video on you not too long ago about the triple threat. The triple threat choke. You called it the triple threat. And I was watching it, and James was recording you guys on the mat, and I was like, man, like I really liked just opening that collar and reaching deep in, and then pulling the sleeve across. And it reminded me of some stuff that we were doing, like the Bravo choking from James, from some of his instructional.
Sorry, was that the one that he put me to sleep in, and I was kind of tapping at the air?
Oh no, you did it to somebody else, and James was recording it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
There's a dog running around on the mat.
James did one where he was showing something. I think it was an option off like a clean arm for an arm bar, and I was so in and out for a few minutes that towards the end I'm reaching for something to tap, but I'm only getting the air. So yeah.
Well, you know, working with James at seminars and being his uke or whatever, he sets chokes so deep,
Man.
even teaching them, you're like, hey man, you got to let up a little bit. Like he doesn't realize he just
goes hard.
just not intentional. He's
Not
just
intentionally. No.
just that good at setting his grip deep the first time.
Yeah, that makes me want to be extra on the defense when I'm rolling with him, because I know once it's in there, he's got it and I'm done.
Yeah.
So,
He always gives you that. Oh, I'm not that strong. I'm like, stop it. You're strong.
Functionally strong beyond
yes,
an understanding for his lack of enthusiasm for strength training.
Right. It's a good way to say it.
That's the perfect way to say it, because that's what he just said weeks ago. I trained with him weeks ago. He came in, we had a seminar with Clark Gracie, and James came down, and we were him and I were partners, and it was hilarious because he's like, oh, I can't even do a push-up right now. And I'm like, yeah, but when you were just like doing pressure on me, don't tell me you're not strong.
That enormous pressure for his size and dimensions.
Sure. Yeah.
Forget about it until we roll. So I'm reminded.
He does that quickly, doesn't he?
Yeah, it escalates.
Yes. He's a great coach, though. He's a good coach. So
definitely, white through black belt with him, man, and it's been amazing every step of the way.
That's what I was going to ask you. When did you get your black belt from him?
November of 15.
Nice.
Yeah, it's my 6-year anniversary this year.
Awesome, man. Congratulations. Cool. Very cool.
Thank you. I'm super excited. A lot of good things this year. I'm turning 50. On my 6-year anniversary. I'm, as a black belt in 20 years in the sport. So have a lot of good. I'm getting married in June. June, so,
congratulations, man.
Thanks, awesome. Man. It's just a lot of crazy things happening right now in life. That's why I'm loving life, man. It's super exciting right now.
Good.
It's crazy.
Hey, 2021 sounds much better than 2020. So,
I don't even discount last year, because there was always a way to grow.
Yep, I agree with you.
And I put it as a plus.
Right on. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, well, that's what I say when I mentioned in the beginning, like having a mindset. I tell people all the time, like, your attitude, which you have a great attitude on life, and you have a great mindset on life, not only just in your training, but just in your everyday thing. Like whatever it is you're doing, you try to keep that positive mindset. And it's pretty cool because, like you mentioned, Goggins' book. So it was a huge inspiration to me. I've both read the book and I've listened to it because I wanted to hear the in-between. If anyone out there ever wants to go out and get the audio book, it's very cool because they break it down, and you get to hear David talk. And I knew about David for a long time before the book came out. And I've always kind of had that approach to where, life's going to beat you up, and that's just how it's going to be, but you have a choice, and you can allow your life to beat you up, or you can allow yourself to not let life define you, but it's how you react to life is what's going to define you. Yeah. So I tell people that all the time, man. It's like, don't let that define you. Like, don't let losing or something bad happen. Yes, it's hard, it's awful, I get it, but don't let that be the definition of who you're going to be. Keep pushing yourself and keep grinding. So you're an inspiration too, man. I see you. You said you're gonna be 50 and you're out there working out and swinging these metal bars around, and I'm like, what the hell is Joel doing?
Trying to people talk about it. My last boss at my last job wasn't a great environment, and I was actually in camp for PANS and was supposed to go, and I damaged my meniscus and strained my MCL. A very small movement that happened, but my boss looked at me and said, "Don't you think you're a little old for that?" I just kind of giggled. I was like, "I'm going to get old if I stop."
Yeah.
That's the problem. He's like, "You come and see me in 5 years." I'm like, "Dude, I've been doing this for 20. You're not going to tell me anything that another 5 years isn't going to."
Right on, for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as outsiders looking in, they can't wrap their brain around how we can still, or why we would want to do this.
Especially after like a 8 or 10 hour day slinging iron. I've been in welding and fabrication for over 20 years. So I go and typically sling metal most of the day, and then I go and train, and I
Man.
strength train. You know, I don't say that to toot my own horn, but I
No.
out of just discipline. And even like recently, you know, it's been hard. I've been doing all the extra rounds with Emilio, and it's taken away from some of my strength training. So, you know, and there's always a balance. I didn't go to open mat today, even though Sunday open mat is amazing. Like I said, I stayed home and I did some strength training because I needed that for my soul. Sometimes, you know, I get what I need. Most of the time, I get what I need from jujitsu.
Sure. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu fills that need.
Today,
Yeah.
Yeah, today was my iron day. I needed that. I needed that for me.
That's good. And it's
So,
true.
And if I don't, yeah, man, if you don't take care of your own cup, you don't fill your own cup, you won't be able to pour out for others.
Right. Exactly. And I kind of like the way you're saying it, Joel, is, you know, you're like, you're 20 years in. All right. You've been doing this for 20 years and you're not stopping, but you're like paying it forward. So you're training somebody right now. You're giving them knowledge. You're giving them the ability to grow. Obviously, I'm sure they're younger than you are, you know, but all that years and that time, that's kind of the way I look at Chad. I'm new in it, but I relish the time that I get to spend with him or pick his brain, or like when James was in and I pick his brain or whatever. I take the guys that have been in this game for a very long time, just utmost respect. And I've learned more just from them, not just from roles in general, but from being around those type of people, because I feel like, oh, they're giving what they've learned. And it's such a proud community. You know, jiu-jitsu is such a proud community of people that stick together. So I think it's very cool, man. Like, you're doing what you have to do to fill your soul, and you're paying it forward, man. You're giving someone else something. In 20 years, they're going to talk about it. But Emilio's going to talk about you training him or being that time with him. You know what I mean? Like, it may not think of it now, but it's going to be there. I'm telling you.
You know, and I think about that, leaving a legacy, and what kind of side of that, the life advice and trying to do the right thing on a regular basis. You know, I talked about this recently to somebody, you know, how I started come up with that. I would start with small things like putting my right sock on first, and then my left, and then putting my right leg in my jeans first, or reaching for something first with my right hand. That's why I'm always, it guides me towards doing the right thing. Subconsciously, somehow there was a connection in there for it with me. If I'm always with my right hand, then I always try to do the right thing first. And that's kind of where that came up with. So I've been, I still even do it today.
That's good though, man. It's discipline and guidance. You know, like you set that discipline up, and you set that mindset to do that all the time. And then it becomes repetitive. You're doing it, and it'll actually show for others too, because they'll start picking that up and they'll start seeing what you're doing. And they're like, wait a minute. Or they're going to ask and be like, why do you do this? And then you get an opportunity to tell them, and they're like, wow, maybe I'll start doing something like that too. You know, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's fun because it extends into jiu-jitsu too. We're like curriculum wise, we're showing like stuff from transitioning from side to north-south, and control concepts and attack techniques from north-south. I love north-south. I love trying to pass the guard, because it's a really hard thing to do. But once I get past, it's like, well, okay, now what do? I get away from the hips and the legs. So I was able to to teach them. I was like, hey guys, this is what I do, because I do it to most of you. So this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. So, you know, and that way, and pay it forward. But on the tail end, you know, teaching that to them, it also not only does it give to them, I get to see it in a different light, and ultimately, you know, I'm teaching it, so I have to be able to teach it correctly, and somebody is going to do something in there that's going to have to make me readjust.
Sure.
So that I can improve my game. So that way I can give back around when it comes back again.
Yeah, like full circle.
It just perpetually gives back itself.
famous Chad statement. I say it's famous. I'm sure people say it, but the what if. Jiu-jitsu is what if.
That 8 million what ifs.
Yes.
There's always a what if, even if it's don't get caught in it.
Right.
It's still,
Yes.
What happens when I get there? Don't get there.
Yep.
I've heard that.
How do I get out? Tap. I don't know.
Yep.
Don't get there.
I haven't figured that out yet.
Do you do seminars, Joel? Do you like go around to do seminars?
Yeah, I love to do seminars.
Awesome. Okay.
I make it very interactive. I love questions. I don't care if they film it. Give me credit for the way I teach it.
Sure.
I don't think anybody's teaching anything inherently way new. Maybe there is, just an alteration of an already existing technique. But that's what makes it unique and makes our sport progress.
Sure. Yeah.
So I always enjoy the interaction more than anything, because I like to make it a good time. It's low key, it's very relaxed. I like the rapport I get with everybody and the interaction. I thrive off of that. It's a lot of fun for me, and just being able to get back, and then if I'm able to roll, man, it's like I've been plagued with injuries since black belt, but things are getting a lot better, so I'm feeling a lot better.
Good. That's good.
Man, yeah, it's rough sometimes. Especially when you try to stay rowdy, and you want to push, and then something happens, you're like,
crap.
Back to light rolling for another 3 weeks.
Right.
So, and playing defense and getting mauled.
Yeah, my plan, 2020 kind of messed up seminar because I wouldn't have Joel up for a seminar, which will, we'll get that on maybe later this year or something, get him to come up. But I was fortunate to go up to Jacob Propst's place and do a seminar with Joel. I don't know. It's got to be 3 years ago now, probably. A coyote guard or leche guard stuff. And it was awesome.
Yeah, man. And I don't show anything that I don't use regularly.
Right.
Even if it's just like a transitional move, like using De La Hiva or something, like even into X guard, or those aren't a part of my A game.
Right.
Sure.
But I use them. I do use them to get me somewhere. So it's important that for me that I give what I'm doing exactly. I always give my A game. Care. Study it. You just got to stop me from doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, like you said, well, nobody's teaching anything that crazy different, but everybody's teaching their what if. We just talked about the what if, right?
Yeah,
so everybody's got their own little,
definitely,
their own little swing on things.
It makes it so much fun.
Yeah. I mean,
and to be in the game as long as we have and still see something that we haven't seen is just crazy.
I remember the first time I grabbed James. I was like, "Hey man, check this out." And he looked at me and he walked over and he grabbed his phone and he started down it. I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm putting it in my phone so I can do it later." I was so proud that I had showed him something that he went back and put in his phone. I was like, "Man, that's a student moment right there," because I felt great.
Absolutely.
But it's even just in the minor details, the way, we're all three of us are know how to do a triangle, but inherently, man, those are definitely 3 different types of triangles.
Sure.
So what works for you isn't going to work for Chad and isn't going to work for me, and what works for me won't work for you. Biomechanics, body structure, stuff like that, all plays into it.
Yeah, I can't swing my legs around like Chad does.
which ultimately is the hard part of jiu-jitsu. I used to train with somebody that said jiu-jitsu is easy. And I was like, yes, on the outside, there's a pure technique. Sure. Everybody does the same technique, but getting it to work efficiently for you is the hard part. Getting your body used to the movement. you guys have seen it, probably hundreds of times. That new person who comes in and they just have no idea how to move their body.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, man, what the hell is going on? And the biggest one that is trying to shrimp.
Yeah.
It's the hardest damn thing because it's like, man, what are you doing? I'm all backwards and it looks funky. But once you start getting it, I think once you get a shrimp down, you can do almost anything in jiu-jitsu.
It's funny because this is a terrible comparison, but I'm like, so my 7-year-old started jujitsu at the gym, a couple months ago or whatnot. And it was hilarious watching him learn how to shrimp. And I was like, wow. I was like, I look like that once.
Yeah. We all did. Even though I was a decent wrestler coming into the sport, I had my awkward stuff. I understood grappling mechanics, but not entirely in this way.
Sure.
It's been a great learning experience, and even still is to this day.
That helped me too. And Pete and I have talked about it in the past, like my base and my ability to have a different base or have a stronger base or whatnot is because I wrestled a little bit. So even though it was years and years and years ago, it still came back to me once I got on the mat and started doing stuff. So it was like, oh, okay, you completely suck at jujitsu, but at least you can do this. You can have this base and you kind of, you can kind of do this a little bit and I can try to get people off of me. Other than that, it was like, okay. And then when I started getting the hang of it and I, obviously, and every person does this, obviously I was spaz, super, like just wanted to hold on super tight instantly as a white belt. And then I pretty fast was like, yeah, this isn't really worth it. Like, this isn't really worth like holding on and going crazy like this. Just slow down and relax and let whatever happens and learn that way. And so that's what I started doing. And I felt like I picked it up pretty quickly from a mind standpoint. So that was
me yelling at him too, though. Joel.
Yeah, constantly. He'd be yelling
stand
across.
Up, Terry, yeah. Stand up.
I'd be on my knees.
Sometimes you need that.
Yes, I'd be on my knees all the time, like in guard. You know what I mean? I'd be on my knees and
knee wrestling.
Yeah. He'd be yelling across the mat. Terry, stand up. Terry, stand up. Now it's like every time I swear it's in my head, like instantly I'm just stand up. Like I hardly ever pull guard. If I do, I'm planning on doing something already going in and I'll do that. But most of the time it's like, nope, I'm standing up and we're either going to a takedown or I'm going to try to, if you pull guard, I'm stepping in and I'm trying to pass. Cause
I've been trying to, being traditional wrestler, I want to take it down. Obviously I love pushing Tottenham. But, I was probably halfway through my purple belt where I thought, man, if you really want to progress, you're going to have to learn how to work hard. So when we did a lot of sweep, pass, or submit, I would make myself earn the right to be in the middle and stay in and be able to work my sweep. So I had to get my pass first, which worked my passing. Then when I would pass somebody's guard and I got to earn the right to be in the middle to sweep or submit, then it was, okay, I need to sweep here. Okay. Like I said, I'm 5'5", so in a 29-inch instance, triangles aren't my forte. I could teach them great, but I can't, being able to short and stubby, thick legs, man. Once I get it on, you're screwed. You're going to sleep.
I was going to say, yeah, once you lock it in, there's no coming out.
No. But getting there is a hassle. But I knew I had to be able to sweep from there. So then my bottom game started to really, really take off. And even now, I still pull quite a bit because I need to be able to be in that trouble situation where,
sure,
if I can't get out, I need to be able to tolerate it. I need to be able to survive and be okay with it. But it's led me into like using like when I went up to Jacobs and he came up with Chad and teaching Coyote guard and what I'm doing to get into there, how it's and whatnot. Just progressing. So I think and it goes back to getting back to you. Like I said, I always show my name. People who can class that and ultimately
You gonna compete still? You got any plans to compete?
I don't have any plans, but I want to. I need to get through this wedding, and I'm putting in a lot of working a lot too.
Sure.
A lot of weekends and Saturdays. So I want to get through that and get through this wedding, and then that's priority for my life. And the thing is, even if I don't compete, I'm still getting better because I'm still training regularly. And come competition time, with my fiance, man, Steph, she's a purple belt. She's just it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So it come down to like, sit down and tell her, it's like, hey, I need to be at the academy this weekend. And all she says is, okay. Because she gets it. Once I get, hey, I want to do this training, and he gets it to do, and she says it's okay. And it's awesome to be able to have that support. And she's been there and she's competed, and she gets it. So it's not to be.
Sure. Yeah. She knows what that's like. And what you need.
Which makes me want to train more, and make her proud of, the effort that I'm going out and doing it. Because it's been rough at black belt, man. I never even competed in IBJJF in the gi until brown belt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So now, being in like Masters 3 all these years, and now in Masters 4 age division, I got these guys that are, my first IBJJF tournament, the guy was a 4-stripe black belt.
Oh, wow.
Freaked out. I called James out of the stands, and he comes down. He's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Man, there's like 30 stripes on his belt."
Like, what is happening?
I know. It's like, man, this is horrible. James like, "Hey, man," he's like, "You're a black belt." And then I only lost 2-0.
See?
And
there.
And I've had 3 matches with the guy, and it's gotten even tighter throughout that. He's one of my favorite guys to compete against, even though I've never beat him, because it's a hard match. It's a very intelligent, hard match. Born and raised in Rio de Janeiro, and just old school Carlson Gracie jiu-jitsu. So he has a very good guard. I enjoy competing against him. I look for the tough matches. I like those gritty, ugly stuff.
It makes you mentally stronger too, to do that. I mean, some people can take it as a bad thing, but like, I think you're embracing it. Like, you like competing against him now because it's going to give you that kind of challenge, and it's like a goal. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm gonna keep fighting for this goal. Like, I'm not just gonna walk away from this.
And he's out of Chicago, and there's another guy out of Chicago. I'm not gonna say names, but I love a different guy that I love competing against, because it's hard. It's difficult, and I don't think it should be easy. When you go out, it wouldn't be worth it if it was. If I just went out and murked everybody.
Yeah, right.
But when you have to, get through sometimes blood, because I've been headbutted in matches. I got headbutted down here some years ago at the Nashville Open, like their first or second one they had.
Oh man,
a guy just right in the eyebrow, and he did it really good. So it looked unintentional.
I was going to ask you that.
But I've been on the mats. I've been wrestling since 1984. I know what a headbutt is.
You knew right away.
And it was okay. And it was funny because the paramedic on the sideline, he just put some Vaseline in it and goes, "There you go." I'm like, "Hey man, check this out. I got 46 seconds to try to make something happen. So you're going to have to do better than this."
Okay, it's just going to start coming.
I was like, yeah, because it's a head wound. We all know what head wounds do. They bleed like
crazy, man.
Yeah, you get a scratch and it look like, Jason Myers, Michael Myers cut your face off.
Right. So throw sweat and adrenaline into that. It's a mess.
Man, I'm telling you, it's a mess. It's a massacre out on the mat.
Squirt now.
So, I was like, man, you're gonna have to get some tape my head. I don't care. But I went out and actually pulled to half guard. He backstepped, and I went to come out the back door and started to stand up, and that was the end of the match. And because I engaged the grappling, I got the referee's decision.
Nice. Okay.
So that was to let you know, Terry, that sometimes pulling guard gets you the match.
I'll remember that too. And I'll look at someone and be like, "Listen, I engaged in this." No, I'm just kidding. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you can compete still, man, because I think you work too hard not to.
I like it. It's fun. I turned it around some years ago when I started doing this, like a lot of mental exercises. I've always been a very visual
Sure.
person as a kid, man. My grandfather being a recliner. I was a tiny kid, 4 or 5 years old, and he'd shake me, and I'd try to climb down, and he'd tell me about the crocodilators that were going to get me. They weren't crocodiles, they weren't alligators, they were crocodilators, and I would shriek and giggle, but I always had this mental thing going on where I could see it in my head. So when I started powerlifting, I started to do that. I would visualize. If I knew we were doing squats at night, I was visualize me. I already knew what I was going to do, what weights I was going to do for the workout. And I already knew I was going to make my lifts by the time I made it down there. So when I transitioned over to MMA and then now jiu-jitsu, I use the same mental approach. I see myself going through. It doesn't matter if I'm doing a ruck. I picture doing a match in my head. If I'm climbing up a hill, this is the hard part of the match.
Sure.
I'm working out of a submission or I'm in a bad position. But no matter what, during any part of the visualization process, I always see myself ending up winning. And I always see myself on top of the podium. And when right at the end of purple in I got my purple in January of 2011, so it would have been towards the end of 2013. I won double go to no-gi pants, and then this actually picks in with the story. So a teammate right after no-gi pants, I won my first open or division and open, because I had won division 4 in the end of 2011.
Okay.
New York, and I came back from New York, and I didn't know that they kept rankings for your age division and your belt. I had no idea about that. And a teammate of mine sent me a screenshot, and I had to process it and look at it, and I was like, holy shit, this has got me ranked at 3rd in the world at old man purple belt. And my very first thought was, how do I be number 1?
Nice.
That was my very, very first thought. How can I be number 1? And I knew I had to go to No-Gi Worlds. I had a person buy a bundle of private lessons from me, wrote me a check for $1,000, and I had my trip to No-Gi Worlds, and then went out and I won my first 2 world championships.
Nice.
At purple belt, won my division, and won open also. For the first time. And then I got brown belt after that. And then it turned into a game of what else can I do?
That's
it's like, okay, that was really awesome. I'm going to stick this up to the side over here.
And just keep going.
Yeah. Okay, what's next? So, okay, Chicago Open, let's attack. So then I'm formulating a game plan, and I'm already going through my mental picture. I'm already playing it like a movie in my head. Every time I'm doing, like I said earlier, every time I'm doing a set of an exercise, that's a match. So I'm really pushing myself physically by visualizing my jiu-jitsu matches mentally. So it was a really strong combination. And really, man, at that point, what really kept me winning, brown belt was really good for me, man. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but well, I mean, because I think at the end of 2014, I went to Masters Worlds. I lost in division in a referee's decision. I think that was the first time I lost that year. All year at brown belt. Then I lost in the open. I tore my LCL in my right knee.
Oh man, during.
Yeah, during the open match.
Ooh, okay.
And then came back and I lost in the open. And at the Chicago Open, I won division, lost in the open, and then I didn't lose again for the rest of the year. And got my
Wow.
that was in 2015, and got my black belt at the end of the year.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, you know, like both Chicago Opens, I didn't. I actually got revenge on the guy who beat me spring in 15. He was an ultra heavyweight. Yeah, that was so gratifying. You know, because he got this freak ankle lock, and I just looked over at James. I was like, that's not going to happen again. So I actually trained. I trained all summer. Man, I've really pushed myself really hard physically with the strength and conditioning. I was grappling extra and pushing it really hard. And when I got to Chicago in the fall, for the first time ever, nobody was in my weight class.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for the first time ever. And guess who I had in the first round of the Open?
The big dude.
I
That
had
guy.
the ultra heavyweight, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you.
I'm wrecking you today.
Man, you know, and the match went really well, man. I took him down, I passed his guard, you know, was all over him. I was working him and then ended up hitting him with a choke. It was a claw on a pass, and I might have made him tap a couple extra times. But you know, that's that little bit of satisfaction for, you know, I got you back, you know. You
Sure.
got me now, you know,
Right.
tit for tat, you know, I'm coming back to it. So
I think
he wasn't ready.
I think that Chicago Open is one of the most probably stacked regional IBJJF tournaments too, year after year.
Man,
It's
Chicago
always
is big.
yeah,
Yes.
it's big.
It's great though, man, because I think it's an awesome thing, especially in the Midwest for the jiu-jitsu community.
Yeah, that's the last and only IBJJF tournament I've ever done. I was a purple belt and probably shouldn't have done it, but
I left on a Friday and took the day off of work and drove 10 hours
Oh man.
here to
Man.
Chicago, because I mean I really like the tournament.
Sure.
yeah.
But
Did you live in Tennessee then?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I moved
Yes.
down here at well, no, not then. I moved down here at the end of 2015.
Okay.
Right when I got my black belt. James getting my black belt on the way out.
Nice.
Here you go.
There you go.
Hey,
See you later.
Go
Get
away.
out of here. No. James would never say that.
No. You know, had some issues down here. I went back to Indiana for a year, and then it was a bad time and a good time. Good time jiu-jitsu wise. It was funny because I was injured at the time, and I got back in the middle of the week, and James and AJ were like leaving the very next week to go to Masters Worlds and then to another tournament. So they were going to be gone like 3 weeks.
Ugh.
They're like, oh, hey, good. You get to teach now that you're here. Bye. But it was a lot of fun, you know, because I've always lived away from Indianapolis. And then I was living in Indianapolis. So I got to train with the team at the headquarters for a little over a year. And, you know, James always trusted me to be able to teach. And it was great to be able to have that environment and finally bond with, you know, form a real bond with my team there. Because I've always lived away.
Sure.
Indianapolis, so it's good to be able to train with them directly every day.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. Are you what academy are you training out of now?
I train at Ray Casillas Academy. It's a Tennessee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy.
Okay.
It's in Spring Hill, Tennessee, south of Nashville.
Nice. Do you teach too? Do you get to teach classes there, or you just train?
On occasion. Ray, actually, you all right over there, Chad?
He's
On occasion, like Ray is out right now.
Okay.
He initially we thought it was his ACL, then it was ACL. Then when they got it in there, they found out it was his MCL too.
Ooh, both.
So
Yeah.
he's on recovery. So the other black belts are pitching in and doing what we can to make sure the classes are running smoothly.
Nice.
And everything's pretty seamless. Knowing it's nice, man. And it's crazy because on a Wednesday night, you can have anywhere from minimum of 6 black belts to as many as 12 or 13.
Wow.
And
wow.
40 plus people on the mat.
Wow. That's how I was going to ask you how many students you guys have like regularly.
So there's a lot of depth. Ray is even from time to time, he's like, hey man, you want to teach tonight? And I'm like, but you're here. Yeah, you're here, coach. And he's like, I know, but I should be utilizing my other black belts too. So sometimes there's some spontaneity, and then Ray does this full time, so sometimes he needs a night off too. And
sure,
he's got a whole line of black belts to choose from who he would like to pass for him. So
that's pretty good. Yeah.
That teaching keeps you on your game though, I think too, right?
It definitely does, because to be able to show it, be able to do it is one thing. Be able to teach it is completely other thing.
Way different.
It makes you look at what you do more hypercritically, and it makes it different because then you have to break it down.
Yeah.
It's like refereeing.
Okay. I see that.
Brown belt, and I was like, man, I should have been doing this for a much longer time, because it makes you look. The connection for me there is it makes you look at jiu-jitsu differently.
That's what I was going to ask you, if it did, like, your approach versus from training, doing it yourself, putting in all, your work and stuff. And then when you have the opportunity to teach somebody, does it make you look at it differently?
Definitely. Because there's a lot of details sometimes I feel that get missed.
Okay.
They're vital. We have our basics, and then we have the fundamentals around every basic thing.
Sure.
And a lot of the times those fundamentals is what is the magic in the technique.
Sure.
That makes sense.
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, it does.
The best thing too for me teaching, as much as I do, and it still happens to this day, is I'll have a white belt say, hey, why did you put your hand that way? And I'll be like, what are you talking about? And I'll have to go back. It's just some little thing that I don't even realize I'm doing, but it's a key detail that somebody will catch.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm always like,
yeah, that happened last week when I was showing everything with my north-south stuff, because I do it so much that I forget sometimes that why is my hand this way and not that way, or why am I positioned here with my knee, or how come I'm sitting at an angle? We don't realize we're doing that stuff until somebody asks us. So, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I love that part of it too. Like for me, that's I'm so big on technique and a lot of anything I ever do. So I really pay attention to that. I try to really break down whatever they're doing. And like, I will say, hey, Coach Chad, come here. I'm like, you have your hand like this. Is there a reason why you have your hand like that? Or you're exactly at this angle. Like, why are you at that angle? Does that matter? And it doesn't always matter, but it's just the way my mind works is I look at it as an opportunity to say to myself, oh, maybe that's going to matter in, a 5-minute match or just a roll or something. I need to be 60 degrees and not 30 degrees. You know what I mean? Like my body needs to be this. So I look at jiu-jitsu now that I'm in, for a while here at that way. I look at it like that. And we've talked about this. We were just talking about this recently, Chad and I, like jiu-jitsu is not for everybody. Like it's go ahead.
Let me say this.
Joel. Yeah.
I'm going to say jiu-jitsu is for everybody, but not everybody is for jiu-jitsu, because those are the people some of those that come in, a lot of those that come in don't stay.
Sure.
So everybody is not for it, but I believe it's for everybody.
Sure. That's a
some
great
people can't
way,
tolerate it, man.
Yeah.
Some people just can't take it. Those people that it's their ego or they come in to get their clock cleaned by some slick female purple belt that just murks them, and it's like, man, he's not coming in, man. This chick kicked my ass. I'm not coming back in there.
Never going back there again. Not doing that. Right. Yeah. I know what you mean. No one knows I was ever here, and no one's ever going to know I was here because that girl just whipped me.
Dude, she can show you how she did that.
Sure.
Yeah. It'll make it easy. It'll make it awesome for you. So
yeah, that's the best thing to do too. Like, tell people, like, just ask, man. Like, they were in the same boat you were in when you walked in the door. So what are they going to do? They're going to start screaming at you and calling you whatever? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to go, this is what you have to do. Obviously, it's going to take time. It's easier said than done, but they're not going to like reject you because you're there. You're trying to learn, the same, at least in my opinion. That's what I've seen so far in the jiu-jitsu community. It's like, if you and I were rolling, Joe, and I was like, man, how did you do that? You're going to be like, well, don't get there. I'm suspecting you're probably going to be like, look, man, like this and this, and this is what you do. And, whatever, you know what I mean? Like your technique, like you were just saying, like it's your technique, the way you do things. Like I try to tell people, that's how jiu-jitsu is. It's still
I
great.
needed you to do this, so I had to do this.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. So don't do that. No. Next time. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm like, oh crap, I can't do this. And then something else happens. And I'm like, son of a, okay. No, I'm just kidding.
That's part of the Swiss Army blade.
Yes.
Blade so, yeah. I don't know, to get you here, there's something connected to it that I didn't tell you about.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny, and I like to, and I like to teach that. I like to teach in a series. If I show something, I want to do something that connects with it right away. That way, if I don't hit it one way, I can hit something else the other way, and then swing back of maybe throw in another technique.
Sure, yeah.
That goes right along with, even like teaching for class. Usually, I don't go any more than 2 techniques.
Okay.
I like to show a couple, and they're always almost like, what do I call, married to each other. You can't, if you can do one, yeah.
Chad says that a lot, yeah.
Because I allow plenty of drilling time. Because I don't care how fast you can. I don't give a shit how fast you can do it.
Sure.
I want you to do it. I want you to do it right.
Right.
So I'll let them drill and drill and drill and drill and drill and drill, and then then you find the higher belts corner. Now they've drilled a whole bunch already, and now they're talking about counters to what to do.
What you showed.
Yeah, so it was always the one group over off to the corner that's working on counters on what you just showed. So I can't really say anything because I've been in that group too. So
yeah, we've all been there.
Sure.
Definitely.
That drilling technique, was that just something that you ingrained in yourself, or was that like taught to you?
Probably comes from wrestling a little bit, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it definitely came from wrestling. But I always knew if drilling created, and that probably comes from wrestling. I knew that drilling created, muscle memory. If I do this, my body's going to remember it.
Yeah.
And after a while, you won't have to think about it. You just move.
Yeah.
That's
why I asked, because I use the muscle memory verbiage a lot to people, and I'm like, you're building muscle memory and just about anything you do. I know it's maybe a dumb analogy, but you're like, hey, you learned how to ride a bike, right? Well, you didn't just jump on it. Like, you built this muscle memory to constantly do it over and over again, and eventually you don't think about it. You just do it.
You just do it. And as much as I love drilling, I love conceptual stuff too. There's a lot of in-betweens that you're not just going to get in pure technique.
Sure.
So I go back and forth in between the two. And I said, I just have fun with it. I try to make it fun for me, because then it's fun for everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
there was a stage at mid purple. I was a 2-stripe purple belt, and I hated training.
I was going to ask you if there was ever a point where you wanted to quit or you hated it.
Yeah, man. I would sit outside and I would just look at the door, and I did not want to go in, but I kept making myself. And then I was like, okay, something has to change. So I started treating it as a game. That's when I started really giving more presence to what I was doing. I wasn't worried about end of the night rolling or anything else like that. I gave to the moment and drilled with intent on what I was doing. It was a very purposeful drilling. And then when it came to rolling, I turned it into what can I get away with and how long can I get away with it for? And if I didn't get, and if I only got away with something for 30 seconds, next time I have to get away with it for longer than that. I want to get it. And that's how I turned it into the game. I didn't care. Okay, I got smashed for 4.5 minutes. This next time he's only going to smash me for 4. If he smashes me, that's fine, but I can't let him smash me for the same amount of time he smashed me before. So I have to improve on that. And even that's an improvement mental game, because I'm able to take the bad positions and the mental struggle of being stuck in a bad spot.
Yeah. And I've been talking about that a lot over the last couple months on those small goals. Everybody has this long-term goal, which is good. I want to be a black belt, whatever that is. But those small little things are huge. Like,
yeah, man, for overall progression.
Yeah, for your overall progression. Yeah. It's like your goal for the night of jiu-jitsu should not be, I'm going to submit Pete, our other black belt. That shouldn't be your goal. It's not achievable right now. Your goal could be 5 times, and then we'll work from there, or something like that.
He only got me 4 times tonight. Victory.
Yeah. Right. As silly as that might be to some people. I mean, it's
I took it
little goals.
When you told me that, obviously Chad and I had this conversation. And everyone goes through this. I'm no special person or whatever, but I had a rough night. It was a Monday night. Went in, Chad actually wasn't teaching that night. We did something totally new. It wrecked me mentally. And I didn't want to quit, but I was just like, I suck at this. Like, I just completely have no idea what I'm doing. And, I came to Chad, talked to Chad openly, and talked about it. And he said what he's saying right now is like, those small goals, like, don't worry about this other stuff, approach it at these small goals. And I was like, man, so then I just started doing that. Like, every night I go in now, I'm there all the time. It was like, I'll go in, get out of my truck, and I'll be walking, and I go, all right, tonight, this is what you're going to do. And I'll leave and go, all right, that's cool, because that's exactly what I wanted to do. And this is all I cared about. Didn't care about if I got submitted, or didn't care about certain stuff. I wanted to do certain stuff and do it every time, every roll, no matter who I was rolling with. This is what I wanted to do, and I'll do that. Yeah. And now it's been good. Not that it was ever bad, but at the same time, I was like, okay, this is going to happen. This is just a progression of doing this. I love doing it, and it's okay, and Chad said, you don't suck at jiu-jitsu. So then that was good too. That was always good to hear. I was like, okay, go home like a little kid.
I'm a sucker. I'm going home.
Right. It's pretty bad. I walk in the door and my wife goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, I suck at jiu-jitsu. And she was like, what? And I'm like, it's awful. And I just socked upstairs, took a shower.
It's one of those nights where you drive home with the radio off. Nobody.
Yeah,
nothing,
it was nothing. It was exactly like that. I was just like, what the heck?
I remember the first time that happened to me. It was a little bit different because I didn't even have any stripes on my purple belt. And I went to a Galval seminar. And I actually got to roll with him. And it was, wow. Yeah, it was horrible. I could feel his hands on my gi, but every time I turned, it was like grappling with smoke. It was just, every time I turned, he was gone.
Gone.
And at one swift moment, I was completely smashed on my side, and he was in side control, and I was like, well, I can't move. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna lay here. And he popped up, and, after like 15 seconds, he's like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I can't move. He's like, oh, okay. And then he started moving again. But I rode home questioning all the previous year's training since I had ever started, because I was like, man, how is somebody that good? It was just another level. And now he's so much better.
Sure.
It's unbelievable. But as progressing, through the years, and with age comes a little bit of wisdom. I get it. Not just through training, but matches that I've had. I let one guy's name get to me and at a tournament, and it just wasn't good for me. But it's been great fuel afterwards, because I'll never have a match like that again. Where I don't fight with fire.
Sure. Yeah.
So, another mental aspect, another hash mark for me to remember.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I love it. Good stuff. We won't keep you too much longer, man.
No, it's all right, man. I remember the first time I was ever on somebody's podcast. I blatantly emailed them. All I said was, "Hey, man, you got to have me on your show." And they were like, man, it was so blunt. We had to have you on.
To have you on. Yeah.
I didn't ask them. I was like, hey, man, you need to have me on your show. And it was 90 minutes. And I was like, man, what am I going to talk about for 90 minutes? And it was like 90 minutes is over with. It was like, man, I went so fast.
It does go fast. Yeah.
There's so much more to talk about. But I don't know, we talked about the mental stuff. I still have to do that. I knew today I wanted to get a strength day. Like, we talked about my barrel earlier.
Yeah.
I used it today for an exercise.
Do you swing kettlebells regularly?
Yeah. Yeah. I got away from like doing two-handed swings, quite a lot of volume training, but that was such a big success for me. For some reason, I don't know why I got away from it, but I'm working my way back.
Nice.
I mean, I only did 200 reps today. I did 100 with my 55 and another 100 with my 70. So it's a very good, solid start. And then like the thing with the barrel, if you guys have ever watched strongman competitions, they're all about picking up awkward shit.
Awkward stuff.
And that, the thing is it never really hit me until I started following Daniel Strauss, the Hodge Gracie black belt. Yeah, Raspberry 8. Yeah. Man, that dude does some really, really unconventional strength training stuff that's very transferable over to jiu-jitsu. When I started following, that's one of the biggest things that got me with stone lifting and carrying, was because he does a lot of it. He has actually a series that he put out called Stones and Strangles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, super, super cool series. But it's anything that's like geared towards like the kettlebells. I know that's a lot of posterior chain, especially my very basic two-hand swing. What's important in jiu-jitsu? Posture.
Yeah.
What's, my swing is my posterior chain, which helps my posture. So it's transferable over. So I use that mental cue to swing back and forth in between the two. Turkish get-ups, man. There's sometimes you got to stiff arm somebody. There's my Turkish get-up. So I try to always make sure that I'm whittling down for more efficiency in my lifting. That way, because I want everything transferable.
Sure.
Functional.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was even before I got into kettlebells, I was so worried about losing a lot of my pure strength. And I might not be able to hit some of the numbers that I hit on a weight pile before, but I'm strong in other ways that couldn't have made me strong.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people say, like, I'm physically, I know I'm strong, and I'm not okay with using that as an asset. I mean,
Yeah.
you're strong. Thank you. I work really hard at it.
Right, yeah. You mean you're not just that way?
No kidding. I woke up like this.
Right.
There's
big guys at the gym we always tell big guys, hey, be careful. Don't be a jerk or don't smash people. But there's a difference between being strong and using your gift, I guess, versus just being a jerk and smashing people. I always say it'd be like telling me not to be flexible. That's not fair. I'm going to use it.
Sure.
Yeah, and you absolutely should.
And you should.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. If it's for you, if it works for you, you should use that, man. I'm a big advocate for that. I don't know. I guess I'm a little different. I'm all about what works for. And again, that's that positivity. I want everybody to see. You can't compete because I want you to win too.
Right.
Sure. Right.
I mean, like outside of a tournament, that's competition. But man, in life, and because jiu-jitsu is part of life. I can't. Chad. You've been in it forever, man. You know how it affects your life outside of the mats, man. It permeates every part of your being because it helps with decision making and critical thinking skills. Wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, not.
I think I forgot my point, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do anything else. I know I get random sometimes. Sorry.
No, that's good, man.
No,
it's good stuff.
I get on a rant and I go.
That's what we're doing here. That's what we do at Limitless Radio Cast, right, Chad? We just like to hang out, man, and we just like to chat, and just like we're some guys either hanging out on the mat training or sitting around having a drink or whatever, man. That's kind of the way we like to run it. We're all friends, we're family, we're all in the same community.
Awesome.
You got to tell Joel, before I forget, people that watch your Instagram videos, tell them what you're smelling before you lift.
Oh yes.
Okay, so everybody's seen the ammonia caps that they do. They'll help revive you if you're like loopy or unconscious. They'll help snap you back. So what I have is a business deal with Dave Underwood, and it's called Gorilla Piss Ammonia Inhalant. Nice. And it is staunch. I've smelled smelling salts before. I've cracked one and I smelled one, and it's at a lower level than
this.
Yeah. And the fresh bottle that I have isn't even activated yet. You take the cap off and you turn it upside down, you fill it up with water, and then you dump it in the powder in the thing and shake it around, and then it activates. And then it's even stronger.
I can't imagine.
It's brought tears to my eyes. It's made me stagger before a lift. But man, when you need that extra, it's funny because I had Brady's my fiance, 17-year-old. I'm big on he's a wrestler. So I'm trying to, push him towards doing some extra strength stuff and stuff.
Sure.
I had him outside carrying a stone one day, and I had him smell it, and he picked it up, carried it back, and he's like, "Man, that's like a superpower." I'm like, "That's because it is a superpower." It is a superpower. It's one of the very first things I ever got taught about mental performance was somebody talked about the haka. With the Maori and the tribes, island tribes, man, and it was a war dance. It was a presentation. It was getting their game face on. Yeah. That was huge for me. It's how am I getting my game face on? And man, for my workouts, that's what I need right there. When I need to hit the stratosphere, and I take a big whiff, and it makes my eyes water, and I'm ready to go, and I'm just. I hit that growl and I'm ready to go.
Sure. Man. Did you start doing it when you were powerlifting? Like did you go from salt? Obviously this, evolved into what you have now, but did you kind of, because I know like a lot of power lifters, that's where they start doing that. They start smelling things or whatnot, to get that boost.
It was a little later. I was well into powerlifting before I was able to do it. And then I found it and I was like, oh my God, this is great. Whoa, this is awesome. Rah, and everybody knows I'm really big into Norse mythology and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can tell from a lot of the stuff I post. A lot of people aren't aware that Thor had a son named Modi, and Modi was his Lord of the Berserkers. And everybody knows about the Berserkers, man. They were crazed, man. They ran into battle. They didn't have any chainmail. They didn't have any armor. They were biting their shields, and they went in with their furs on into battle. And even if they got cut, it didn't phase them. They just kept killing people. They were really uncontrollable. And really, man, to me, that's having passion for the fight.
Sure.
When you put together like the old Norse alphabet or the runes, and when you bind some of the runes together, it makes it even more powerful. I had a Modi bind rune made, and I had it put it on the front of my neck, and I wanted it there because that way I would always remember the trial going through having that put on the front of my neck, because that isn't that's a special place for a tattoo, because I never said I said I would never go up on my neck or go on my hands for tattoos. And now, now here we are. Yeah, here we are.
Joe, so, you're running out of room.
Man, I'm telling you. God, if she wouldn't stab me, I would get something on my head. But so
just grow your hair, man. Just put it underneath the hair and then let the hair grow out.
I thought about that. And then my luck, I would go bald, right?
Yeah,
that's what happened afterwards. You'd be like,
sure,
it's not coming back.
So, but my idea with it was I pay homage to that, that passion and that ferocity that you should have. Your enjoyment, it should be an enjoyment, excitable passion for whatever you're getting ready to do, whether it's another set of swing kettlebells, or whether it's getting ready to roll with somebody, or even square off against somebody in a tournament. And you should always fight the hardest you can fight.
Sure. Yeah.
In that moment, man, you should live in that moment.
Live in the moment.
That's passion, and having a love for the fight, love for the battle.
Yeah. That's
important.
It's super important. Yeah. It's a great way to approach things. I have 3 kids, and I teach my kids that way too. It's like, I'm not telling you to be, I'm not teaching them to be like jerky or anything, but I'm like, you have to have like strength in you and have a passion about doing what you're doing. And even from schoolwork or whatever, I'm like, look, like, I know you say the schoolwork sucks, but look, at the end of the day, you're pushing, you got to grind, you got to do this and have passion in you to do it. And then you're going to be great at it and just keep pushing,
And wouldn't that be great if he was like, man, I got homework tonight and I'm getting ready to murder it.
It'd be great. It would be great. Yes.
And that would, oh man, where'd that come from? That's awesome. Yeah, go kick its ass.
Yes. I would be like, I might look at my wife, I might pass out. That happened.
What did you give him this morning?
Right. Like, what happened? Am I in the right house? What's going on?
Really? Yeah, man, I want to get back out and compete.
Awesome, brother. Yeah.
I'd love to compete. I actually, a lot of people say it's the crowd, when it comes to competing, and
sure,
having a complex about competing. I don't want to say afraid, but they have a complex about competing because of the crowd. And I turn that around. It's like, man, they.
Yeah.
I look at them like they came here to watch me.
Right. Feed off that, man. Like, just feed.
I completely flipped around. As I walk out, I walk a specific pattern every time on my way out on a mat. And I do that intentionally because I want my opponent to get to the middle first. I don't care if he beats me there first. The match ain't started yet.
Sure.
I don't care if he beats me to the middle. I'm going to take my time, and as I walk out, I'm looking across the crowd. These guys are getting ready to watch all the hard work I put into, which we all know the camp leading up to a tournament is the hardest shit. That's when most of your injuries happen. And it's not during the tournament. I'm having 4 or 5 matches, maybe 6, and I'm going home. On an open mat, I'm having 7, 8, 9, 10 matches.
And yeah,
I'm going home. Yeah. So, but I'm turning this around. Now I'm not, oh, they're looking at me. Now they're watching me. Now all the hard work that I just did to get here, to make it here, to make sure I'm strong, to make sure I made weight. My mental processes, I'm getting ready as I make my way from the stands, getting dressed into the bullpen. And now I got my gi checked, and now I'm on the scale. Now I'm waiting in the bullpen to go out. And that's all the process. Each one is another gear forward, like I'm running a big rig. So it's a shift forward in momentum. Now I'm getting ready to go out. Now I'm getting ready to fight with passion. And to just approach that in every aspect of your jiu-jitsu training, or your strength training, or even work. I put it into action at work. I love going to work. People are like, oh, it's Monday. I'm like, yeah, man, it's just another day that ends with Y.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
I get looked at crazy. I'm like, what? They all end in Y. I just got different stuff to do on different days. Don't differentiate. It's like, I'll never have a case of the Mondays. I know you guys seen that. Yeah, I know you've seen Office Space.
Oh yeah. For
sure.
Never have a case of the Mondays, because that's just not in my style, man. I love it. Monday, man, that's awesome. I get to start the week off at work with fire.
Sure.
I'm gonna carry it through the week.
That's what you do too. I mean, it's the best approach for people to understand and to live by, because if you don't, then every day can suck. You know what I mean? Like, if you have that attitude and you don't have a good mindset, Monday is like, oh, and I work in an office. And so people would have things up like Monday suck. Like they just have like little post up or something, whatever. And I'm, Chad and I were just talking before we were doing the show, and I was joking. I was like, oh man, tomorrow's Monday. It's really not a big deal. I haven't been in the gym for 2 weeks, so I'm like super excited because I'm like, yes, tomorrow's class. Like I get to go to class tomorrow. Yes. Like I tell people, I'm like, well, if you don't like being here, then you need to find something else that you like to do.
Why are you here?
Yeah, there's no reason to do this then,
Yeah. I used to be that guy.
Right, Chad, you and I talked about it, man.
Yeah, I used to be that guy. I was in warehousing. I drove forklift for, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. It was miserable. I hated it. And then, I was doing jiu-jitsu during that time too, but just makes me appreciate what I'm able to do now, even more.
Definitely.
So
teaching a bunch of knuckleheads. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Man, it's okay to have knuckle draggers, because man, those are the ones you want next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get to see a lot of my affiliate teammates very much, but I have a huge appreciation for all of them, because I know what they're doing. I know what kind of culture they're putting out there. So It makes me proud to still be connected and part of it, ultimately part of the community. My team's up north from me, but but I met Ray. It'll actually be on my birthday weekend. I met Ray on my 40th birthday weekend. James had an ego training camp, and Ray did the no-gi section of it on a Sunday. It was the weekend of my 40th birthday. So I'll know Ray 10 years, right around my birthday.
Nice.
And it's funny that I met Ray through James, and now moving down to Tennessee, I train at Ray's place. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy. That's wild how that works, man. Like the jiu-jitsu community is like that so much.
It's amazing. I love the jiu-jitsu community. The first time I went to Masters Worlds in 2014, I got hurt in the first match of the Open. I told you guys about that earlier. And next day, I'm at the airport early. I had to have my rental car turned in at 10 a.m. But my flight wasn't till 3 or 4 o'clock. So after a tournament, what happens? You day drink and you eat. So, but my flight delayed. They had to put a windshield in it or something. So by the time we got to our Phoenix by the time we got to Phoenix, our connecting flight had already taken off. They put us in a Holiday Inn for the night. And I was like, hey, man, I got this dude that I've been friends with on Facebook for a while because of jiu-jitsu. A guy that I used to run around with moved from Indiana out to Phoenix. And before the tournament, he was like, hey, man, you guys would really get along. So I'm gonna send you a recommendation to add this guy. And I added him. We talked here and there, hit it right off, and just so happened I got stuck in Phoenix. It was like, hey man, what are you doing tonight? Text me. And then this, like 10 minutes later, I get this random number that says, hey, are you in town? So I took a picture of where I was at this Holiday Inn, and I sent it to him. I was like, this is where I'm at. And he said, on the way. I was like, no way. This dude shows up at my hotel room door on crutches.
Oh, wow.
He's got a cast on, I want to say, his right leg, and he's got a bag with him. He used to run a small gear line called Destroyer Fight Gear. He brought me a T-shirt, a couple of brown belts,
Nice.
a few other items. Yeah, he shows up like 45 minutes later on crutches. And I was like, holy shit. He's like, nah, man, bro, you're way cool, man, to talk to. I thought I wanted to come out and hang out. We hung out till like 3 o'clock in the morning. We just hit it off. We hung out. We got some food. And he's like, man, I better go because you got an early flight. And I was like, man, I can sleep on a plane. This is a story I'll be able to tell forever.
Nice.
And fast forward, he was a purple belt at the time. Fast forward, now he just recently got his black belt.
Awesome. Good for him, man.
So yeah, man, and we still talk.
Very
and
cool.
We're still friends to this day, and that's something that another reason why I love the jiu-jitsu community, because I never ever met this dude in person. We only talk rant here and there on Facebook, and we hit it off, and it was because of jiu-jitsu that him and I are still friends to this day. And it's awesome. It's a super cool thing. So we're actually talking about working on getting me down there at his place. Cool. And doing a workshop.
We're gonna get him into East Coast too, right?
Oh yeah, we'll make it happen.
I got some cool stuff I've been working on, man, that I really like. That I'm super excited to show.
Sweet, very cool,
definitely
man.
We'll have definitely have to work on that, make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always excited for stuff like that, especially after getting to talk to, making new friends in the jiu-jitsu community. I love it. I love hanging out and talking jiu-jitsu, talking shop, all the stuff. I love it. It's awesome. It's good stuff. And so, yeah, if you get to come in, Chad will make it happen.
It'd be a good time.
Good time,
do
for sure.
Some jiu-jitsu, get some rolling.
I was going to say, yeah.
Afterwards, I'm all about the meal and us all, breaking bread together.
Sure.
I think that's an important, it's kind of ritualistic.
Sure.
In a way, we all go to battle with each other, rolling in a way, and then go break bread afterwards and celebrate and
right on,
and tell stories and stuff.
Yeah. It's the best.
And that's the magic.
Yeah. It's the greatest family anyone could be a part of, which I found out very fast after being involved with,
Yeah, because you learn a lot about somebody rolling with them because they show you the kind of person that they are.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, and I think that's why we're so bonded together. Why, like, even back in the day when like the rivalries between schools were so
sure.
heavy. And I get that, because if someone tried to mess with my teammates, man, I'd be, I might be one of the oldest guys on the team, but I promise you, I'm pushing you out of the way to get to the front.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're ready to go.
To smash somebody for messing with my teammate, my friend and my teammate. So ultimately, man, it shows that it brings out our best, brings out the best in people.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes the worst.
Sometimes. Yeah. But, Autumn, my girlfriend Autumn, she said to me before, because she wasn't around the jiu-jitsu lifestyle until she was with me. Right. And she's like, how do you have so many good friends, what you call good friends? I'm like, I feel just because everybody's humble. I don't have anybody that I would not associate. Like,
I recently, within the last 6 months, have people outside of the academy that I call
Yeah.
friends. There are non-jiu-jitsu people that I call friends.
Yeah.
And for the first time in a long time.
Sure.
Yeah. But
So,
for the most part, most of our jujitsu friends are very humble people because
yeah,
of
definitely.
because of what we do. You have to be. And the ones that aren't probably aren't going to be in jujitsu that long, or
Yeah, they don't last that long.
They don't last that long. Yeah. They can't take it. Can't take Joel smashing them or Chad put him in a triangle or
Well, no, if you miss, especially the ones that come in and they misbehave and they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
You don't want a 200-pound guy, white belt that used to wrestle, smashing the ladies.
No.
The shit creates that shit right there creates green lights.
Yep.
And all the black belts start lining up. And they were wondering what's going on.
And it's an off, like Chad, you've mentioned this too. It's like off the mat too, like representation. Like, we have sweatshirts on that say Team East Coast. I got, there's Klingerman's, logo right there. And, I wear jackets all the time that have that stuff on there. And it's like, no, I'm going to rep legitly humble, be courteous to people, like represent how I want to be treated and how I want people to see where I come from now, like my teammates, like this is how we are, this is who we are. We will treat you with the utmost respect as long as you're respecting of, obviously, and I'm not doing anything for you to disrespect me, so that's also an important thing too. So it's like on the mat and off the mat type deal.
It goes back to like a big thing I've talked about on other podcasts. That's energy, giving good energy. And just being an overall good person. And this lady at work asked me if my cup ever runs down. I had to think about it, but no, man, my cup never runs even
it doesn't dry
down to halfway, because when you give something good, even to somebody you don't know. There was this guy that helped me. I was running a machine for the day. It was the first time I had met him. He was a newer employee. And at the end of I went over and above. He was helping extra. He was doing stuff that he didn't have to do, but he had a good attitude about it. And it was the first time I was around him, but he was a little standoffish. So I made sure I went over and told him, he was walking, I caught up with him. He was like, hey, man, I just wanted to thank you for all your help today. And he just kind of looked at me. I was like, man, I really appreciate it, man. Have a good day. And I just left it at that. I shook his hand and I turned and walked away. But I seen his whole disposition change.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that right there multiplies. That gives me so much more, because I changed a perception. I changed a barrier. As funny as I tell people all the time, I know what I look like.
Sure.
So I break a stereotype, and when I see their disposition changes, that's the magic. That's the good energy that I go back that overfills my cup. Why my cup never goes empty, and why I'm always almost always in a good mood. Because I remember being perpetually in a bad mood.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
When I was in my early 20s, I was super angry all the time. That's Jesus. We could keep going for another 3 hours over that. Just my basic. Even digging back to my life story. And everything. It's just a lot of dark times.
Yeah.
And
you and I have a lot of that in common. I tell people
why I'm so up now, because it feels good to be able to be like,
oh, it's the best.
It's amazing.
It's the best. It's a better way to live. It's not this like, it's not stressless, because you're still going to have that, but to live like this, to live more up, or more energy and just feeling good, or wanting to give someone 2 seconds of compliments, walking away, and it's like, that's all I had to do. Like, that's all I wanted to do. Like, I'm not looking for anything in return. That's what I wanted to do. And I'm like, I had a rough upbringing at times, and I had a lot of dark times, and I spent a lot of my life angry. I was angry all the time. I wanted to fight all the time. I wanted to, I wasn't a good mindset. And in my early teenage, all through young, and then in my 20s, I finally started getting together a little bit better. And thank God I met my wife that I'm married to now. And just the great women in our lives. It always helps, you know.
Man.
So, but yeah, I'm with you, Joel. Like, I know what you mean, man. Like, it's cool we do that stuff at the gym, you know, like Chad and I, like, you know, done for the night, shake everyone's hand or whatever, give someone a hug, man. Hey, good. I like to tell Chad all the time, man, great teaching tonight, great coaching tonight, you know.
Even with like the younger belts, you know, I've been trying even before class to make my way around and shake everybody's hands, or at least give them a slap and a bump.
Yeah.
Even before class starts, or even at an open mat, man, you know, make sure, especially the black belts, because we have a lot of visiting black belts on Sunday. So I want to make sure that I always go over and greet them, making them feel welcome. And then I just make my way around the mat and talk to everybody, shake their hand, you know, get everybody, you know, try and get everybody smiling, and then we get at it.
Yeah, then get after it, right?
Yeah. The bell's getting ready to ring. It's Sunday, so once it rings, we're not friends for 7 minutes.
Right. I can love you in 7 minutes.
Yeah, I love smashing you, but
right.
it's going to keep coming until we're done.
Cool, man. Well, Joel, thanks so much, brother. Hey, who's sponsoring you now? Who's your sponsors?
Kanan with Strychnine, man. I've been with him for some years now. He's
nice.
Always taking care of me.
Yeah, we know Kanan.
Chris Hubbard with Fin Scrub grappling soaps. He has belt ranked soaps. So,
nice.
Yeah, if you want to get all the belt rank colors, and then you have that one guy that just at whatever belt kept on annoying you that night, you get to go home and wash your giblets with the purple belt or the blue belt or the brown belt.
That is awesome. I love that.
So,
good.
You know, it's a good product. It's great for after training.
Cool.
I'm still connected with Bronson from he used to do Hell Wound Norse. He's working himself into another business venture, so we're in between some, but Norse Fitness, I actually had his stuff before I was on the team. I still use the original knee sleeves that I got from him years ago.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, it's quality stuff. And just I met him some years ago. I was like, in my head, I was like, holy shit, that's that much shit. This guy. I have to go talk to him. Directly, I made a beeline, went over, had a great conversation. We stayed in contact here and there, and then he decided to make his crossover into the MMA and jiu-jitsu world. He hit me up, man. I'm proud to be a representative of the brand and
nice.
And Death Grip grappling tape.
Nice.
Love that stuff.
Sweet. Very cool.
And Gorilla Piss. Don't forget
Gorilla Piss. I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, I was gonna say to sponsor you.
Yeah, man, definitely. Fuel for the fire. If you're in your lifting session, and you hit the Gorilla Piss, that's like having the fire and then throwing some lighter fluid on.
Nice.
Cool. Very cool.
It came from that. There's my fuel right there.
All right, my brother. You got anything for him, Chad?
I don't think so. We covered pretty much. I will say, you know, Joel, along with like, obviously Terry has helped me in the last couple years, just, you know, believe in myself a little bit more. Inspiration wise, Joel is huge in that. And Pete, you know, you guys that always keep me going, do better. You know, I started the push-ups and pull-ups. I was sending Joel videos. Hey, what do you think of these?
Nice.
You know,
and keep that up too. I love seeing it.
Yeah. And that, you know, I've always been a jiu-jitsu guy. I've never been a workout guy, but now I'm enjoying that push-ups and pull-up routines and different things I can add to it, you know?
He's gotten good at it too, hasn't he? Like his form's gotten
Yeah.
well, man. I tell him, I'm like, I told you, like when you just keep doing it, just keep grinding, and that form's gonna come, and then eventually you'll be like, well, damn, this is easy. Like this, then
You know, now he's doing push-ups on the medicine balls
and see, that's what
everything.
yeah.
That's yeah. He's getting his stripes and his belts in strength and conditioning.
Right. He'll be doing stuff at the gym now. He's like, check this out. And he'll grab these blocks, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, I can't do that. I can do push-ups all day long, and I can't do that. But I haven't been practicing doing that kind of stuff either. So I could add it to my repertoire, but I just like to bust them out. I'll just keep doing them and doing them and doing them. And then I'll jump on the pull-up bar and just keep doing them and doing them. And maybe I'll add the medicine ball. Maybe I'll have some tennis balls or something under my feet. Put the challenge up there a little bit. We talked about doing, because Pete, so we talked about oddest places doing push-ups. He did them in, there's a local civic center type place, and he was doing them in some odd room while his daughter was doing some like a show, like a ballet show, and of course, and then so just a week or so ago, Chad sends me a video. He's doing them outside the car. Why Autumn was taking care of some stuff. And I said, all right, that's it. It's who can do the oddest push-ups somewhere. So I'm trying to find something.
That's the thing. That's with guys, I love that, because guys with that kind of mindset, there's always an opportunity.
Oh,
it doesn't matter if it's a commercial break, or she went inside to do something, or we used to make bets for call out push-ups. That means I can call you out at any time, and you have to give me a push-up. Yeah. If you owe me 15 push-ups and I just want one push-up, you have to stop what you're doing and give me my one push-up. Doesn't matter if you're on the sidewalk.
Didn't matter where you were.
Yeah, nice. If we're in the parking lot, hey, let me get one. They got to stop and whatever they're doing and give me a push-up. We used to do that stuff at grocery stores. It was so much fun.
It's accountability too, but it's good accountability, so.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Good. All right, my brother, we're going to let you go. Thank you, Joel. You Thanks for everything. Appreciate you. Can't wait to meet you in person, brother. Get some rolls in. You can teach me some stuff, man.
We'll get it hooked up, man, and it'll be a good time, man. Like I said, I always try to make it relaxed and fun and very engaging and entertaining.
Right on.
That way it's not just come in and blasé and I'm teaching some technique and I'm out, and man, I want to make it a totally immersive experience.
Yeah, which is the best. Those are the best seminars too. Yeah.
That's what sticks with people.
Yeah. Not just there to show technique and hit the road. It's like, no, man, I'm here to be a part of who you are. That's cool.
I vote for a seminar and then a cookout at Terry's house.
That's fair enough. You can come check out my.
I second it. That's 2 out of 3. We're good to go.
We're good to go. My wife will be completely friend. I have the room.
Definitely.
I have a 125-pound cane corso. She'd love to. Chad's seen her before. Yeah, he's seen her head before. Oh, she's a full-bred Italian Mastiff. So she's actually laying here on the floor looking at me like, when you gonna finish, Dad? So, all right, man. Cool, Joel. Thank you,
guys.
man. I appreciate
thank
you, brother.
So much.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Take it easy, my friend.
Back.